All right. Well, first, Rebecca, I'm so honored to have you on. I know that we had this arranged actually several months ago, and it was when I think you were just returning from Ecuador, one of your climbs in preparation for Mount Everest. So different times now. I know Mount Everest has been postponed, but I wanted to talk to you, if it's okay, we talk a little bit about your goal in climbing Mount Everest, because I think that we could tie in this conversation with all that's going on today, which I want to talk about pursuing our passion with pure grit. And I know you speak a lot to that grit, because that's who you are. You have all that grit and determination to accomplish all your goals and your passions you want to pursue. So talking about Mount Everest, number one, I want to know, well, how do you feel about it being postponed?
You know what? It's really interesting because this is a very different conversation that is happening right now than what we were going to on our very first podcast. So I found out about 3 weeks ago, so beginning of March 2020, that, Mount Everest wasn't going to be happening. And I was speaking to my guide on a daily basis, and I was still like, I think this is going to happen. We were still pretty convinced. Now, looking at the time of what's happening, you can't even go to a restaurant. It's like, obviously, that Mount Everest, wouldn't be possible this season. And I've been thinking about it, and I was so emotionally ready. I was physically fit. I was like, it's such a mental preparation too. And I've got all of my kit. Everything was ready to go. I think the day before I found out we weren't going, I just ordered the last piece of kit that I needed. So I was doing stairs training. I had a weight vest. Like, I was like in the zone. And then for that to be canceled, I was bummed, obviously, but I was like, there's bigger things happening in the world, no problem. We might be able to go in the autumn time. It's not normally a time that people go, but it's possible. And as the days have gone on, I have to say that I am there's been a shift in my head that I'm like, I'm not mentally ready for this because I was so on the right path, which I felt was right. So the challenge for me or the thing that I get to do now is to reboot my system to getting mentally prepared for it. Because I think something so big like that, you set yourself up, you're ready to go, and then something happens and you end up kind of trying to talk yourself out of it, which I feel like a lot of people do. They get one little knockoff and they go, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be. Oh, I shouldn't do it, But now I've got to really find that grit inside me, which I had, which I know that it's there, to mentally prepare myself to do it again.
Yeah. And it was supposed to be in April, am I right? The climb?
Yeah, it was supposed to be in April. I was supposed to leave on the 11th of this month.
My goodness.
So I just had everything perfectly lined up. I knew what my life was going to be like for the next couple of months, just like a lot of people out there. And so to have that completely switched, and now I'm doing, workouts live. I'm producing more workout videos. Like it's full in on the fitness app right now because people want to work out from home. So it has been a bit of a mind shift change. That's it's played with me a little bit. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's so crazy because you were so in it to win it. I mean, you were in preparation doing all your climbs to lead up to Mount Everest, and it's a lot of dedication you needed. So to take a complete shift where you're like, you probably blocked out 3 months or so that you weren't going to be working at all. So now with the coronavirus going on, I'm sure you had to completely like, oh, well, now I got to do this, that, and the other to fill the space that you blocked out to do nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been a change, and it's been a great change. I'm super grateful for everything that, I'm getting to do right now. It's just been like, wow, this is a big change.
It's insane. It's insane. Well, I want to talk about, just to touch on a little bit of the climbing, because I think that to have such a goal to climb Mount Everest is insane in itself. And I give you total props for wanting to do that. I'm curious, a couple questions. So number one, what gave you the determination to climb Mount Everest in the first place?
Yeah, so I met a guy called Kenton Cool a couple of years ago on a climb, and he'd done Everest, I think 14 times at that point. And I was just inspired by that. I was like, wow, like that's amazing. Someone's done it like 14 times. I've always thought about it, but never thought that's actually something for me. I just didn't ever think that I'd be in the situation for it. And then I was introduced to the Wim Hof breathing method, which is all about, controlling your temperature. And I did some ice baths. And I always thought that I was, I hated the cold. I was, I got cold really easily, but really it was just a mindset shift. And then I got approached to write a book, and my book is called It Takes Grit. And I felt like at the time, there wasn't anything that was putting me outside my comfort zone. I wanted to share with my audience something that I was going to struggle with, and that I needed to really like level up my game, so that I felt like I was relatable, like something like that was going to really make me feel uncomfortable. And I think I was in New York at the time. I was in May of last year. And I was on a press trip or something. And it just came to me. There was like a thing of aligned things that happened. I was like, that's what I need to do. Like, that is my grit. That's the thing that I need to do to really push myself. I don't particularly like the cold. It's a difficult endurance thing. I mean, yes, I could run a marathon. I could go and do a Tough Mudder, but I wanted to do something that was adventure. Because I'm a bit of a tomboy at heart. I love doing things on the outdoors. And as soon as I got that in my head, I was like, that's something that I need to do personally as a challenge. And then I started getting so excited about the fact of like actually being able to accomplish that. And when I reached out to Kenton, who's my guide, who I'd met a couple of years earlier, it just happened that he was on his summit push at that time. So I was like, the timing was everything. I was like, you're on Everest when I'm asking you about it. And I think for the first 6 months that I was trying to get him to take me on as a client, he didn't think I was serious. He was like, there's just this girl. She is a fitness person online. Like, she just poses like nice workout videos. Like, does she have the grit for this? Does she have the determination? And I think that a lot of times we judge people, by the front cover. We don't read the whole book. And so I had to really push him to have a call with me and to actually take me on as a client. And we did a trip together in the Alps in October of 2019. And even then, I still didn't think that he felt like I was serious until the end of that trip. And I would say to him, hey, you didn't think I was going to follow through with this, did you? And he goes, honestly, like, I don't quite like to prejudge, but, I didn't think that you were serious and you were going to go ahead with this. But obviously, I did. And then we went to Ecuador. Did have another trip that was planned in March to go to Montana to do some climbing. Obviously, that got changed. But yeah, so it was something that I just felt like I needed something to challenge me and to put me outside my comfort zone and make it, I wanted to do something that was difficult.
I love that. I'm somewhat of a venture junkie myself. I got really hard into rock climbing, which I think is kind of similar to mountaineering, right? Definitely not the level of Mount Everest, but I know what you mean by like, you just wanted to see what you're capable of doing and just challenge yourself beyond the normal situation that you do daily or whatever your activities are. So I completely relate to that.
I love rock climbing. We did a little
good.
bit in the Alps. And I think there's such a great analogy with rock climbing because you can be right there. You've got your hands on the wall, your feet are in something, and you're like, how am I going to get to the next spot? There's no way. I can't do it. And it just takes a very slight inch of something, your foot, your hand, and then all of a sudden everything opens up and you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And I think that's the same in life because often we feel like we're stuck. And I don't think that we're stuck. I think that we've just stopped. We've just stopped moving. Because even if you just make one slight move in a direction, it doesn't matter if it's up, down, left, right, if you think it's wrong, if you think it's right, you'll get unstuck. Just like when you're rock climbing, it's like, I'm going to move my body like just on my foot, like a tiny little bit inwards. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm able to grab hold of something even higher. So I love that analogy because I love rock climbing. So much fun.
I love that. And to add with rock climbing, it's very mental. Mm-hmm. You use your mind so much because you have to think of the strategy of how you're climbing. And it's like figuring out a puzzle. So I think that even, with the climbing, with the mountaineering and all the climbs you've been on, I'm sure that you were constantly pushed to a new level, especially when you started to increase your climbing preparation. So I'm curious, what was like your biggest obstacle you endured during the preparation?
Yeah, so when I went to the Alps, it was kind of like it was a nice thing. The weather was great. I was like, oh, this is great. This is so fun. I've got this. And like, we would do a couple of climbs. I first of all, I would look at something. I go, he can't be serious. He can't actually be going up there. How do we get up there? And I remember summiting one of the mountains and like looking down and being like, I can't believe I did that. And I got an overwhelming, I don't know what it was. It was like an emotional feeling the first time that I did it, because I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. Like, I can't believe I actually was able to do this. And I came back from that trip going, you know what? I got this, no problem. I went to Ecuador, and that was a great wake up call, because those mountains there were really challenging. And there was like, the weather was bad. There was I didn't summit one of the mountains, and it really destroyed my confidence. I didn't have the right gear. The weather was really bad, and I really struggled. Like, I was not having fun. We got to a certain point, and then my guide was like, right, we're going back down. Just because I didn't have the right gear. I wasn't prepared properly, because my gloves were making my feet and my hands were cold. And so I literally came back down from that so defeated. And I felt awful. Like, I've never felt so crappy in my life before. Like, just altitude sickness, dehydrated. I think I had like 6 ounces of water in like 6 hours. I hardly eaten anything. And I came back down, and I remember saying to my guide, like, do you think I can do this? And he's like, yeah, this is just preparation. And I'm like, but do you think I'm cut out for this? Do you think I can get to, the top of Mount Everest? Like, I really started doubting myself. And what I learned was, and we know this and we tell ourselves, but sometimes we need a reminder. It's like, Rebecca, you just weren't prepared. But if you hadn't have done that climb, you wouldn't know what to do for next time. So, the next time we went up, we did another mountain. I got new gloves. I made sure that I was eating more food. I made sure I made a point of getting the water in, and we were able to summit the next one, which was higher and more challenging. So, so many times in life, we're just like, all right, we quit. It didn't work. No, I can't do it. I'm out. It's like, no, what did you learn from that? Where do you need to improve so that next time that you do it again, you can make it happen? But yeah, it was definitely like a knock to me when I was like, do you think you can do this, Rebecca? Like, what are you doing? Why are you climbing Mount Everest? Why are you doing this? But I just had to, realize that it's all to do with just preparing yourself for the next time. And it's not that you failed at climbing that particular mountain, you didn't summit, but what you learned from it was even greater than it had you actually summited.
I love that. And also that analogy you could use in life, of course, so bringing that into what we're going through right now, I know so many people are possibly switching new careers and pursuing a passion that they haven't had the time for. And we're completely making this really big pivot, especially for the ones that have lost their careers at this time, because, maybe it's, in the restaurant business, let's give an example, and they had to completely shut down and they possibly won't open their doors again. So now it's like reinventing yourself and thinking of what do I pursue now, which is looking at the passions you possibly have. And I'm curious, so with preparation, I guess bringing that in, how do we most prepare ourselves, like set ourselves up in the best way we can to pursue these new passions and be successful at it, especially when we need to be very quick on finding a new source of income, if you want to say.
Yeah, I think the thing is that we get to this, we're now thinking outside the box. And I think we always think that we're thinking outside the box, but when we never actually are, because we're not forced to. And we think that we're getting these other ideas, but like now there is so many other opportunities with things online that people can do. And so this could be the wake up call that somebody needed to push them into a direction, into really pursuing what they want to do. Because the thing is that unless we have something so catastrophic that happens in our life that forces us to make a decision to do something different, it often doesn't happen, because we go to what's comfortable. We go to what we know. And so if you're in a situation right now where you're like, what, I've always thought about doing something else. I've always thought about pursuing something. Like, this is the time to utilize it. This is the universe telling you to go for it. And knowing that, there's so much free resources online to create businesses online. There's like so much people are handing out courses left, right, and center right now. Things are cheaper. So it's utilizing that time to go, you know what? I have always wanted to do this. I have always wanted to try this. Now is the time to do it. And don't worry if you mess up, because there's loads of people out there trying, and all you've got to do is just like, you know, you're not messing up. You get to be messy at the beginning. It's like, I didn't summit that mountain, but what I learned from it was great. I was able to summit the next one. So I think now is the time, you know, absolutely, because everybody's in the same bubble right now to really execute and go for what you wanted to go for anyway. Like, I think it's great. If you've lost your job in, you know, the restaurant industry, but you didn't want to be a waitress, now this is the kick up the butt to say, right, what else are you going to do? Because quarantine's going to happen. It's going to end. And you've got this like time right now to really maximize all of the resources online, create your structure, create the business that you want to do, create whatever content it is. And then by the time that quarantine is over, you know, who knows when that's going to be, you can then make the decision of like, hey, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now. I'm going to keep going, or I'm going to go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah, I completely agree when you say sometimes we have to really crash and really go through some sort of breakdown to break through and to really realize like, oh, this wasn't serving me anyways. This is really where I want to go. And I can completely relate to that because I've been self-employed for 16 years being a fit model, which is basically a live mannequin for clothing manufacturers. I somehow fell into it. I used to be a fashion designer and I said I was going to do it for 1 year. I stayed in it for this long because it was my moneymaker. And also it gave me the freedom to make my own schedule and do all the things that I have been doing. But it has not been my passion. It is not the purpose I'm meant to serve. And I know I've been trying to get out of it for so long because, again, I wanted something that was more fulfilling. And I know because it was kind of my safety, that's where I made my income. I continued to do it. And I have been continuing to do it until quarantine happened. So I'm being pushed in new ways. And I do feel the immense pressure to recreate myself and to pursue what I'm meant to. But there is also such, it is so empowering to be able to now, like, no excuses. There's nothing, nothing preventing me except for, maybe financial means or whatever it may be, but I could be really creative at this time. And I think, like you said, there's so many sources out there, and you have this time to explore. And if it has to be messy, it's okay. But as long as you just start now. So switching into that, I want to talk about your story, your journey. I know that you've pursued your own passions and purpose that you're now serving today. And it wasn't exactly a straight line to get there, but you have pursued it with pure grit and determination to go after really what you want. So I want to talk about your journey, where you came from, and now what you're doing and serving in the world today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been definitely, I feel like grit is the biggest word that I resonate with. That's why my book is called It Takes Grit. And I'm originally from England. I moved to America about 9 years ago. That was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. Like, just to get a visa to work in to live in another country. I grew up watching Laguna Hills on MTV. And I remember thinking, like, one day, when I was like 14, 15 years old, I'm watching it on my TV in England and going, one day I'd love to drive down, Pacific Coast Highway with the palm trees in my convertible, Mercedes, and, go to lunch with my OC crew. Like, that really was an aspiration. And I moved to London at 19 years old. I worked for a bank for 8-9 months. And that's the only time in my whole life I've been employed. The rest of the time I've been self-employed and just been wangling. I've done every single job that you can imagine. Living paycheck to paycheck, doing club promoting, poker dealing, was in girl bands. I mean, like, I've been a waitress, I've been a babysitter. I mean, I've had every single job you can imagine. And at the age of 23, some crazy stuff kind of happened when I was living in London. I went out to a nightclub one night. I was paparazzi'd as I was walking outside the club, with not even somebody that I was with. But the way that they got the shot looked like we were holding hands, but it was just a distance thing. And the way that we were swinging, it was crazy. Couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And ended up, some other crazy stuff kind of happened from that. And I was watching the news one day, and we had that volcano ash cloud that happened, I think it's like 8-9 years ago. It happened in Iceland, that grounded all the planes. And I was in my apartment in London, and you know, I was doing club promoting, I was a podium dancer, I was in the wrong crowds, I was definitely drinking, there was drugs going on, and my circle of influence, like, it just wasn't there to support me. It wasn't uplifting, it wasn't health and nutrition, let's put it that way. It was like the opposite. And so I was watching the news one day and I saw a plane land, and I literally went, F it, I'm going to be a pilot. Like, that was literally my mindset. And I just needed I needed a change. I needed a big change. And right now, you know, we're in quarantine right now. This could be the big change. This is the wake up call, a massive 180. And so I was forced in a situation where I'd lost a couple of my jobs in London because of the issue that went down, and I needed to change. So I saw a plane land on the news and I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to become a pilot. So I started to research where you could do your pilot's license around the world. And it turned out that Florida and Southern California were cheapest places to do it. You know, the fuel is cheaper. You can fly every day because of the sunshine. And I'd already been to Florida a couple of times as a kid. So I was like, why not California? Always thought about going to California. You know, Orange County's there, Laguna Hills, let's go there. So I basically went at 23 and got my commercial pilot's license, got my whole license, my multi-engine instrument, flew solo across LAX, you know, flew a single engine airplane all the way to New York and back, and then went back to England, did all of my written exams. So I did 12, what they call ATPL exams. So I completed all of those. And I was like, you know what? I don't think like the flight thing is quite for me. I like being around people. I like serving people. I like helping, but I love Southern California. And I managed to get myself a visa to go back to America to work there. Because when I was in England, I'd done, you know, I was trying to make it as a backing dancer. I was trying to make it as a model, as an actress, as a TV presenter. Like, I was just trying to make something of myself. I always wanted to work in the entertainment industry. And so I managed to get myself a visa, like pulling all this basically not very good stuff together, but into a resume to get myself a visa to come over to America. And then that's when I got auditioned and was on a YouTube channel to do workouts. And I'd played sport my whole life. I was a South of England field hockey player. I played soccer. I was your sports captain at school, the whole thing. And obviously I loved the hosting. I loved the TV presenting. So when I was able to like bring the two together, I was like, this is my one talent in life. It's talking and working out at the same time. You know, I've found it. So from there, really, you know, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I was doing poker dealing. I got paid $40 per episode to do the workouts on the other channel. And I was scouting for Playboy. I did like loads of random like jobs, any sort of like promotions work. And then basically that channel finished and they didn't want to keep filming. We were at like, I think it's at like 3 million views, but I didn't have any control over it. And at the time when they stopped, I felt like I'd lost my purpose. I was like, how am I going to compete with a channel that I'd already built? Well, a year and a half went by and people kept still asking me, I want more workouts. I want more workouts. And it was really tough to create a new channel and start with 1 subscriber, 2 subscriber, when this other thing that I built was at like, it was at like 3 million. I was like, how, like, this is like, I kept feeling like this isn't fair. This isn't fair. But then I switched my mindset to going, well, you know what, if it wasn't for that channel, I probably wouldn't have my love and my passion right now. And it gave me the opportunity of what I do. So I was like, you know what, no excuses. I would film myself on a $150 Sony camera that I was on a terrible tripod. I would make sure that I was in shot. I would video the whole thing myself, edit it on iMovie, you know, all the horrible old school, like the pink and the purple and the green, terrible, like the graphics that they had. And then from there, it just kept evolving. And I have not missed a new YouTube video coming out in 5 years. So every single week for 5 years, we've had a new workout coming out. And so just having that consistency. And then 2 years ago, we created an app because I wanted to have a program that people could follow. And now I just have, you know, an incredible community of people getting healthy and working out together. And in our group, we have a Facebook group for all of my burn members. And it's all about, okay, you can express how you're feeling. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling like you're having a tough day, absolutely. You can definitely post that. And you have to post your solution in there as well. You have to post it. Otherwise, we get people going, oh, me too, me too. And then it just becomes this whole thread of people feeling sorry for themselves with no solution of how we can make ourselves feel better. So we have this like culture of like, hey, you know, I didn't do my workout this morning. It made me feel blah, blah, blah. And tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you know, challenge somebody else to do the workout with me to keep me on track. So it's like that mindset shift, because, you know, you get so many people on social media that if you post something that's vulnerable or whatever, everyone's like, me too, me too, me too. And then it becomes this like really depressing post where no one's really helping each other. We're just all complaining about how bad we feel rather than saying, yes, we feel bad and this is our solution. So I'm just really grateful for the journey that I've been on. It's not been easy. I own the whole business myself. It's not like I have a partner or I have like, you know, it's not another girl that does it with me. It's not like I have a boyfriend that does it with me. I obviously employ people to help me. But it's just definitely taken a lot of grit, especially when you get messages and you're like, this app's not working. I'm like, I got it. I'm fixing it.
Wow.
I'm doing my best. I'm on the phone with Apple right now.
I love it. It's so amazing and so inspiring. So being this is the perfect conversation to have with you in the times we're in, and where people have to start something new, that a new passion, as we were talking about. Did you learn everything yourself? Were you self-taught, like how to edit the videos yourself and how to put it up on YouTube and like all that stuff? Did you just learn yourself?
Absolutely. You can Google absolutely anything. You can Google or YouTube anything. If anyone ask me a question, like one of my coaches, they'll ask me something, I'm like, Google it. Like literally,
Seriously.
you can Google it. Like that's going to be my answer for you, because then you're going to learn how that you can find a solution for anything. It's amazing the amount of free content there is in the world. Like ignorance right now is a choice. If you say, I don't know how to do something, and you just continue not knowing, like that's a choice that you're making not to learn, because you don't have to pay for anything. You know, I'm streaming live workouts right now on YouTube. And we first of all did it with the computer. That wasn't a very good, picture. So then I Googled, well, how to make it a better picture. Well, now you can stream it. So I bought some streaming gear. And yesterday I'm figuring out how to do that. And there's YouTube videos that explain to you how to set it up. So, you know, and not every time you get it right first round, and you have to practice. And, you know, yesterday I did a live and the camera kept switching around the other way, and I had to just stop it and start again. And I kind of had a mini meltdown in the middle of it. I'm like, nope, I got to keep showing up. These people are waiting for me. And then just get it back up. So even I did a live yesterday, and I couldn't get the phone at one point. It was going landscape, and then it just kept flipping to portrait. I'm like, this is driving me mad. I'm live right now. Like, how do I figure this out? So I was like, no problem. I'm just going to cancel it, and we're going to start this again. Because sometimes with technology, you just need to turn it off and turn it back on again. And it works fine. I don't know. Just reinstall, and it'd be great. And there was a split second where I was like, shall I just tell them that there's a technical issue and I can't get back on? Because I had tears in my eyes, because about 10 minutes before, there was something that was happening on the app. I was getting hit up left, right, and center. This isn't working. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to fix everything, you know. And I'm also home by myself right now. My boyfriend's a firefighter paramedic, so he's at work for 4 days straight. So I'm literally setting up the light myself. I've got my camera. I've got the sound. I'm trying to do everything myself. The camera's wonky because I can't like see it from myself. And there was that split second where I was like, should I just tell them? Should I just tell them no? And I'm like, no, like you have to show up. You have to show up you have to show up more when it's difficult. Like that's the time to really show up, when it sucks and it's difficult. So if you're first time doing a live on Instagram, or first time doing a story, or whatever it is for your business, like I've been doing this for 7 years, and still yesterday I messed up. It was a mess up. It was just like technical issue, right? I stopped it, and then I just redid it again. And it turned out to be the best live we've ever done. It was fun. I added in different things that I hadn't done before, because I was just like, honestly, I was like, F it, like whatever, we're going to dance through this workout. I was just making up stuff as I was going along, and everybody loved it. And so I think people feel like it has to be so perfect all the time. And, you know, if you make a technical mistake, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be the end of the world. But, you know, we all make mistakes. And even some of the big companies, they can go live, or they could put something up on their website and it could crash. So it's not like you become perfect. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. So I think that if you know that, you're not going to be surprised when, you know, maybe you put a post up and, you know, you don't select the right cover photo, or, you know, you start a webinar and it doesn't work the first time. It's like, you know what, that happens to absolutely everybody. And that's just part of running a business.
I love that you share that. It's just being human. And I think when we are more human, other humans relate to us a lot more. So I love that you say that, just like show up, even if it's messy.
I was
I,
crying. I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. And I'm like, you can hear the first crackle in my voice. I'm like, thank you, everybody. We're going to get started again right now, but I thank you for coming back.
That's amazing. I love that you still did it and that you stopped yourself from, avoiding the whole thing altogether. That's amazing. And I love that you say that ignorance is a choice. I am totally the fact that we could learn anything through just Google for free is amazing. And I know a lot of people will pay for coaches and everything, and that is also as beneficial. But the fact that we could learn anything is amazing. So also, I want to know, so have you ever felt imposter syndrome? Because when you started this new app and this new business, Burn, and your whole, your live workouts and everything, did you ever feel like you weren't able to do this, like create something on your own as big as it was before?
I definitely felt like I had competition with the channel that I'd already built. I have so much fun with it. I feel like if you absolutely love what you're doing, you don't have imposter syndrome, because I love filming workout videos and I love doing lives and I love talking to people online. So it was never, even if I'm not going to be the best person at it. You don't have to be the best at it, right? I'm not the best person online. I'm not the best workout trainer, whatever, but I absolutely love it. And there's going to be people that love me and there's going to be people that love somebody else. And I'm not going to serve everybody, but I'm going to serve the people that relate to me. So I think if you're just having fun with what you're doing, that's where your purpose comes. Like that's when you know that it's really the right thing for you. If you're just completely like into, right, I love doing this. This is my thing. This is my passion. And having that imposter syndrome, if you really believe in your product and if you really believe in what you're doing, you should be telling people all day long, because I tell people all day long, join my live, join my live. I mean, some of the stuff is free, some of the stuff that you have to pay for, but I don't care if you're paying for it, if you're doing it for free. It's like, you're going to have some benefit from this, because I know other people are, because I've got testimonials, and you might watch it and you might be like, yeah, she's not for me. Or you might be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I've only just discovered this person. She's changed my life. So I just have that feeling like I'm just looking for the people who are part of my tribe.
That's amazing. I love it. So for people that are trying to get into something new and pursue a new passion, and they've kind of narrowed down on their niche and what they want to pursue, how or what do you recommend to somebody to step into creating a new business, especially in a time like this where it's, there's a lot of noise going on, there's a lot of competition, but you have to start something new and you have to start from might be the bottom. What would you say to that person that is starting new?
Just find the value. Like, don't worry so much about like, oh, I need them to sign up for this X, Y, and Z if it's for money. It's more about providing a lot of value. So whatever your skill is, say that you are, maybe you're a chef, right? And you're like, hey, I want to teach people how to cook from home. Make some videos. I mean, the quality that you can get now on a phone is amazing. And there's some incredible apps as well. I use an app called Splice that just makes it so easy to edit and paste and just copy things. It's so easy. And so just create content, create valuable things that people are interested in so that they come back. So, if you are a chef, it's like, hey, these are the best pots and pans that I have found that are, the non-sticky or whatever, right? And then it's like, hey, this is my favorite recipe to make X, Y, and Z. And this is how the easiest way to meal prep, or this is the best way to where to buy your food from. So it's all valuable things that people want to know. And then the customers that you have, doesn't matter if you have one or two, you absolutely spoil them, that you take care of your customers like gold. You're replying back to their comments. You're helping them. It doesn't matter if you have 5 people that are following you or 5,000 or 5 million. It's like, still, just because people have loads of views or loads of, followers, it doesn't mean to say that they necessarily have a successful business. There's a lot of people that maybe have like 50,000 followers who have a more successful business model than somebody who has 1 million followers. So don't get so hung up about the actual followers and then likes. It's more about you creating a culture where you're looking after your customers. And, in this time right now, it's like, this is the time to build. instead of asking people for, to sign up for something, it's like, hey, I've created this free PDF that will help you with 5 steps to cooking at home or cooking during the coronavirus or whatever it is. I think it's just providing value and being consistent and looking after the people that you currently have.
I love that advice, that we should just start developing a foundation of support and serving somebody, opposed to just thinking about, can you sign up for my course? You have to provide that value. Yeah.
I've done that too. I've been like, we need more subscribers. I'm like, well, like, why? What is this? What's the reason that you're doing this? Is to serve, is to help people. So instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I need more customers, it's like, how can I serve my current customers better? We just did a survey for all of the Burn app members, and said, what do you want on your app? Like, what would make this better? What parts do you use? What parts do you don't use? We're now having the app that's going to come out in 2 months' time. That is exactly what they want. So I'm not spending money on ads to get new people. I'm spending money right now on making the app better for my current customers. And I think that when you look after what they want, because they're going to give you the best feedback, all the new people that come in are going to look at this app and be like, oh my goodness, it's amazing, right? Because the current customers have basically created it, because all my customers are going to be similar. So it's like, instead of spending money on, just trying to get new people, it's like, find out what your customers want and spend money on that first. That's just how I think of it. Like, I've definitely spent money on Facebook ads, but I feel like if I'd spent that money on a new app of something that's even more what my customers would want, then I think I would be in a better situation right now.
Yeah. How do you go after things with pure grit? I mean, like, how do you not fall into the trap of like, I can't do this. Like, how am I going to do this?
I don't have a plan B. And I think when people have a plan B, you're screwed. Because you say, I'm only going to do this if this happens. I will only do this if, right? And so the first time that we get knocked down by something, we go to our plan B. And that is a really like a risky area to be in, because you just start to go, well, it's not working, instead of going, well, this isn't working, but how can I make this better? The first time my app came out, it was a piece of poop. It was absolutely rubbish. The design was terrible. It wasn't native iOS, Android. It was awful. And for about 4 months, it was just like running, and I hated it. I was embarrassed that it was out. And then I was like, no, I need to make it better. How do I go to the next level? So I started posting some things on my Instagram about what people would like. And somebody actually replied to me who lived in another country and said, hey, I actually work for an app company. We can do some of these features. I was like, amazing. So then I went with them, and then we created a new app that launched like 18 months ago, and it was much better. Now I've got a new development team who are about to take it to the next level. So I'm constantly looking about how I can improve it. But I'm not going to go, there's never been a plan B. Like, this is the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm doing this to serve people. So I'm not just going to quit or go to my plan B, which would be like maybe a 9-to-5 job or something, just because something didn't work out once. And things are going to go wrong every single day. As a business owner, you're putting up fires. This morning, I woke up, something had gone wrong. Yesterday, something is going to go wrong every single day. Like, doesn't surprise me. I mean, like, literally the app could crash and I'd be like, all right, that's what happens, right? Let's call up the developers, let's fix it. So at the beginning, I was definitely more stressed about things, but I realized that was actually taking up so much of my energy. And so instead, I just have to shift to let's find the solution, rather than like focusing on the blame, whose responsibility was this. Now, when something goes wrong, I go, right, how can we fix this now? Rather than go, well, that was their fault. Like, the developers were supposed to do this. I mean, we're just going to go backwards and forwards, and then nothing is going to get accomplished. So looking for the solution every time, and then not having a plan B.
I love that there's always a solution. And that's so true. That's such a great way to shift your mindset into creating a positive out of the negative that's happening at the current time. So I love that. Well, the other thing I'm curious, so your book, it's called, what is it? It Takes Grit.
Yeah.
So what is your mission behind the book? What are you serving in the book? And it's coming out, I believe, this year, right? Is that still happening?
Coming out in September of this year, which also could be when we're going back to Mount Everest. So who knows what's happening with that? I could be literally having a book out at the same time as I get to the mountain. So yeah, I wanted to write a book that got people to be powered and free, because when we are in control of our mind, we're free and we have the empowerment to do something new. So many people are in their heads rather than thinking with their hearts. So how can I teach people the grit that you need to overcome anything in your life? And the book is split up into a couple of different sections. There's a fitness part in there. There's nutrition. There's lots of recipes, but it's very heavily on mindset as well. And I share loads of my stories about what happened to me in this situation and how I overcame it and how you can now do it as well. So, one thing in life is that we have a choice about everything. And when you have that idea in your head that you have a choice about absolutely everything that you do, you will be set free. And people go, yeah, but Rebecca, I don't have a choice because I have to pay bills. I have to do this. I live in this country. Well, no, you decided to take that job. So that's why your income is that. You decided to live in this country. So that's why you live in that country, right? You can change. If you literally know that you have a choice about everything, you will be set free and you'll be empowered to do absolutely anything in your life. So that's what the book is all about, is teaching you how that you can have complete control of your life's choices and not let anything limit you. Because people say, oh, you're so lucky that you live in Southern California. I'm like, well, no, I got 2 legs. I've got on an airplane and I went to America. I mean, even if you don't have legs, you can go on an airplane. Do you know what I mean? Like it's knowing that you really do have a choice about everything. And as soon as you take out the buts, and it's not going to say that it's going to happen immediately. It's not like, Rebecca, I can't, live in another country right now. Well, right now, like, let's make the plan for the future. I had to wait 10 months in England for my visa to come to America, right? To be able to work. So 10 months is a long time. That's almost a year. However, there was no plan B. I wasn't like I was going to stay in England. I wanted to live in America, so I'm going to work there. It doesn't matter if it took me, 10 months or 12 months or 18 months. That was my goal. And I wasn't going to reduce my goal just because it was going to take a little bit longer. So I think the book really just teaches people how to keep going and how to like keep pushing through. And I use so many stories of bad crap that's happened to me. I have like terrible first time experiences on absolutely everything in my life. Every single first time experience I've had, from the age of like 15 has been terrible, but I've never let that put me off going for what I want. So I know that the book, I can't recommend it enough. I know I'm being biased about it, but like it's really helped me and shifted my mindset so much so that I'm in control of my life. And I think a lot of people don't feel like they're in control because they don't feel like they have a choice. But the book really teaches them how they can have a choice.
Oh, it's so amazing. I think a lot of us need that book right now. Are you doing a course or anything on it? Are you teaching people how to improve their mindset at this time, or what's your mission going forward?
Yeah, so they can get a pre-sale copy of the book, It Takes Grit. They just go to rebecca-louise.com/book and then get some bunch of pre-sale goodies. What I'm also doing is on the It Takes Grit podcast channel on YouTube. We have a new podcast that comes out every week, but also I'm doing a live right now through April, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. It's a power hour. We get on there, we change our state, we get fired up, we go through different topics. I'm answering people's questions, but it's just a way that I can really interact with somebody and get them to do something in the moment. There's something different about doing something live than just watching a recording. So those people who are coming onto the live are interacting with me. I'm getting them to do tasks during it, because when you've got someone teaching you to your face, like immediately, I think you start to take more action and people are feeling more connected. We went through goals on April. We went through people, toxic relationships, how to change that. And so we're really doing some big things on the It Takes Grit YouTube channel with lives. And it's really fun to watch people's mindsets change and say, you know what, like I used to really be annoyed at this coworker because they were so negative, and you told me just to have compassion towards them. And then they're like, and now I have more energy and now I'm not mad at that person. I'm like, I know, it's crazy how, just thinking with your heart rather than your head. And just, if people are toxic to you, think about why they are, what's going on in their life where they feel like they have to be like that. Like, have compassion for that person. That person's life sucks right now because they're feeling like they're having to be negative towards you, and you can be that ray of sunshine in someone else's life. So, it's so really fun to then watch other people come back and say, my goodness, like I've changed my mindset, the way that I talk to my husband or the way that I talk to my kids. So and I'm not perfect. I mean, I still mess up all the time, and sometimes my delivery to my partner is not always the best. best. But it's, it's being real and honest and, just giving it your best shot every day.
Oh, I love that. Is that something you created during this time, or you had this going beforehand, the lives?
We added the lives during this time. We started that about 2 weeks ago. So, the crazy thing is that, I've never done a YouTube live before. I think I did it like maybe years ago, but there's this feature there that's so amazing. And it's like all of the great things that are going to come from, being in quarantine that's forcing us to level up, I think is amazing. And, doing these lives is one, it's sane for me, but it's sane for, it's sanity for other people as well. So I think we'll be doing them afterwards. Like, why would we just stop? Because they're so valuable.
I love that. It sounds remarkable. And you said that's live on YouTube every 11 a.m.
Wednesdays at 11 a.m. And then we have live workouts on the main workout channel. We have a kids one on Thursdays at 11 a.m. I know we have one for everybody, Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So yeah, there's live workouts. You're just going over to the Rebecca Louise YouTube channel and you can check them all out.
That's so great. So besides you being an incredible, powerful woman that you are, and that like with pure grit and determination to accomplish everything that you set your sights on, where have you felt your most powerless?
It's interesting. Most powerless.
What's your biggest struggle?
Honestly, like the biggest struggle I think is, that's a really tough question because I'm able to change my mindset so quickly. So if I start to think about something right now, I have the answer for it. I have the answer of like how I can change my mindset to being like, that doesn't need to be something that you struggle with. And if it's something I struggle with, it's like, I get to struggle with it. I think I've struggled with so much stuff in the past. I've suffered with an eating disorder. I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with, being addicted to drugs at one point. Like I've been through so many struggles that now it's like the thing that I don't really feel like some things right now that I'm feeling powerless. Sometimes I feel a little bit like overwhelmed because we got so much stuff going on, but I don't even like to say that is a struggle because I'm so blessed, because I think when you're overwhelmed, it's a great thing. I turn everything into a positive. It's like, if you're overwhelmed, it's great. It means that you've got loads of stuff going on. You should be grateful for that. I remember, my mom actually was like, she's a head teacher. She's like, I feel so overwhelmed. There's so much stuff going on. And I'm like, Mom, this is great. Like some people don't have anything going on. Like you've got loads of things that you get to pick from. So, even when you're feeling overwhelmed, yes, that can be like, you can feel a little bit powerless because you're like, I need more arms and legs. I need more hours in the day. But it's like, that's actually a really great thing because it means that you're busy and that means that you're in demand and that you're wanting your attention. I mean, can't that be a great thing?
Yeah, I love that. Well, you've definitely mastered your own mindset, which is amazing. Well, to include in this whole thing, what's your mission behind what's the big purpose you're trying to serve in the world right now?
I think right now it's getting people to move their body on a daily basis, because when you exercise, you release endorphins, you feel good. It's not just about getting abs or getting like a tight booty. It really is about the feeling that you get after you sweat and doing a workout that makes you feel alive. I think that's one of the things. I think the biggest part of this is the mindset. So the choice about what you have in your life right now is down to you. The situation that you're in is you, and just getting people to feel like they're in control of their heart and their mind to have an empowered and free life. Because if you can change your mindset, I always say it's 20% fitness, 80% nutrition, but it's 100% mindset. And if you can learn, the power of the positive thinking, and you can learn how to be solution oriented rather than looking at the problem, and you can, wake up every day with purpose and gratitude and grace for yourself and a ton of belief, I think that that's really how you change your life. The fitness is great, and I think it teaches you discipline, because if you're working out every day, that's what I teach people in my workouts. Like, hey, show up every day for a workout, because we're going to teach you discipline. And if you have discipline in the workouts, we can create discipline in our everyday work life as well, in terms of the mindset. So I think really just getting people to wake up to the fact that they have a choice, that they can, do anything that they want in life, to have more belief, and just to be happy and free.
I love that. All that. That's so great. And then I asked all my guests the same question. So what is a passionate, purposeful life look like to you?
Passionate purpose life is waking up every day and getting to do what you absolutely love and getting at least one person to say, thank you. Thank you for what you did. I mean, I used to look at my mentor and people would come up to him and say, oh my goodness, like you've changed my life. Like, thank you so much for making a difference. And I would look, I'd be like, what is it? Like, I want that. And so when I wake up in the morning, I spring out of bed because I have a passion and a purpose to live for. And so finding that lights your fire and lights your soul up every day, I think is the most important thing. And just, I think connecting with other human beings and making a difference. If you just make a difference in one person's life, if you just open the door for them with your glove on and then your hand sanitizer afterwards, right? But if you just like open the door for someone, just do something one day for somebody else. Like if you're feeling empty inside, start to give. You know, that's what I found is like, just give more and then your heart's going to be more full.
I love that. That's so great. This has been such an honor. And I think you're the perfect person to talk about this subject of how we could really create something new in our life with pure passion and grit and determination. And I'm just so honored. And you mentioned where people could find you at RebeccaLouise.com. Am I correct? And then your...
Yeah, go to Rebecca-Louise.com. You can check out the app, icanfeeltheburn.com, get a 7-day free trial. We're also doing the app right now for $3 with the coupon code BURNVIP. So you'll get daily 28-minute workouts, warm up and cool down, bunch of recipes, part of the exclusive lives, the Facebook group, a whole other bunch of stuff in the app as well. And then on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the things, Rebecca Louise Fitness.
Amazing. I love all this. Thank you so much, Rebecca Louise. You are just a gem and you just fire me up. So thank you for inspiring and empowering all of us right now at this time, especially.
Thank you. You're so welcome. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course.